Okay, welcome everyone to Detego video on field extraction. So just to remind you, you'll have already had a video on how to license your Detego ballistic or field device. In this case, we're going to be looking at the field triage aspect. I've already licensed my USB stick or SSD drive, whatever your tool of choice was. And what I've done is I've looked at my suspect machine, which we're now on. Clearly, it is definitely a bad guy or girl. With my 20 years of digital forensics experience, I can tell that by the giant surface-to-air missiles. But clearly, we're going to go into that and do a more professional job of proving this. And we're going to use Detego to do that. I've selected the best port on the machine, so the one that has the fastest throughput, and I've got a high capacity, high speed USB attached with our software on. So we can run in the boot environment, or in this case for demonstration purposes, the live environment. I'm going to go to navigate to the Detego USB stick. I'm going to go in there. We can see it's a master stick. Okay, it's got all of our technology on it here. If I run it in the live environment, as I am now, if I was working for a discrete agency, I could run our stealth program, which will remove trace of Detego having been run on this live system. As I said, we can also go into the boot environment. So we're really unique actually here. We can forensically boot a machine, which bypasses UEFI, secure boot, that kind of thing. Obviously works with legacy, but also we can have that same software on this same device. So I don't need to have a separate boot key. I can run it from the USB that I'm on, which means I don't need to fill up other ports on the machine. If I'm using something like our rapid ballistic imager, can do a terabyte in under 8 minutes, by the way, then clearly that patented technology uses multiple ports to extract the data out at high speed. So if I've got a boot USB stick in one of those ports, it's going to reduce my capability there. So we enable that to run off this stick. Of course, you can have it separately as well. And in fact, we can boot it and have it run in the RAM that we create to keep forensic integrity on the system as well. So again, pretty good if you're running up against those kind of trendy small little laptops that only have one USB port. They're soldered in the drives, so you can't pop them out the back if you're an agency that's trying to do that to clone them. So what do? If you plug in a boot USB stick, you've got nowhere to plug into to extract. So we solve those problems for you. Anyway, I'm going to go into my main configuration. This is our Detego. Obviously, I'm in the live environment, so it's asking me, do I want to run it? Yes, I do. We keep a full forensic audit trail of everything we do as well, so our friends in the law enforcement community can feel completely safe that essentially their kind of forensic management process is all run in the background. So here's our splash screen. We've got multiple options with our Detego technology. As normal, it is built up for plug and play basic user or first responder user or military operator, law enforcement, frontline, that kind of piece. But also built within the same technology is all the advanced options for your seasoned forensic investigator. And then we also have covert and discrete technology that's built in for those particular clients that need that kind of piece. So it gives you the multiple options, and as you learn and grow, you can expand into them naturally without needing to go out to another tool or product because your skill set has increased or your demand or need in your organization has increased. So within here, I've got these 5 are basically my main triage options. And this one here, as I mentioned before, is our rapid imager. Again, uniquely with Detego, we can have our triage technology loaded onto the same USB stick as our imager. Where does that benefit me? I've got 5 machines, plug into machine 1, run my triage. I'm getting no hits of any description at all. I plug into machine number 2, no hits of any description at all. Plug into machine number 3, boom. I start getting hits on pedophile keywords, on Project Vic hash datasets. I can just move straight to physical image. I don't need to pop the drive out. I don't need to go through any third-party tools or whatever. I can just click next and it will run on and do that physical image for me. So, as I said, we've got some basic profiles built in. So I can just go in as a standard user and go, yeah, go after all phone backups on this laptop, go after the user desktops, and so on and so forth. They're pretty self-explanatory. For your advanced users, you can create new profiles, and for your there'll be a video on that separately, so I won't go into it in too much detail here. But you can also, as a manager, I'm a manager of a organization, and we're going to hit 100 addresses in London today on a counter paedophile operation. It could be anything: counter narcotics, counter terrorism. It doesn't really matter. The tool can be manipulated to do whatever investigation you want. So I only have 20 high-tech crime individuals trained to a high level, but I need another 80. If I had 100 Detego fields, I could just load them all with profiles. So that all the basic user would need to do is go onto scene, plug in the thumbstick, go to load profile, and maybe I don't have all these profiles. I only have ICAC profile 1, so they don't even have that kind of choice. And then they can just press run, and it will do everything I pre-programmed it to do. It will look across the project Vic hash sets. It will go across all the keywords. It will pull the specific types of files that I was interested in. It will even alert that investigator when it finds things of interest, as we'll see in a minute. So you can set these up even if you're a senior investigator for all your different kinds of operations, from your counter-terror to your fraud, from your quick scan. It might be that I've got 10 machines coming in, I can quickly plug in. I know within 5 minutes my quick scan will give me a quick heads up that is this machine likely to require a deeper dive for me, and so on. The main one I'm going to show you now is just a quick start so that we can see how the product looks and how it runs and how it might benefit you. I want to take the memory. If we're in the live environment as I am, it's going to pull the RAM for us, which is great. Again, there could be plenty of decent information hidden in there. We can export that out into third-party tools, but all of this data imports into our Detego Analyze. And within Detego Analyze, we also have the ability to automatically pass for you parts of the memory. So if the user, for example, was pretty savvy and kept all their internet history clean, we would still be able to pull search terms, for example, out of the memory extraction. It automatically does that for you. You don't need to run off and do another course. You just click a button and it runs and pulls that out, including email addresses and things like this. A password finder is self-explanatory. We'll look at that in a minute. User directory, it's going to go to all the likely places that humans put data. File carve. So this is interesting. We can also live time on our triage file carve in the unallocated space. We don't need to get the full forensic image to then carve. However, that said, it is process heavy, right? So we're file carving for multiple different types of files and live time on the suspect machine, keeping forensic integrity, but utilizing that hardware and its architecture. So the processor might not be that capable. So what I'd suggest in most cases, a lot of our user base will utilize the file carve to have a dirty look, if you like, at what might be in that unallocated space. For example, if I know I'm intelligently led on an operation or an investigation, but I find nothing in all my live logical side to the triage, it might be that I just let the file carve run for 5-10 minutes and start seeing what comes up. If I start to get hits now for deleted information that was pertinent to my investigation, great, boom. I would probably switch to a ballistic image automatically, because our imager is so fast that by the time I get the image, load it into my analyze, run it on my digital forensic platform, my own box, then that's able to pull all of the carved data out of the image anyway. So we just give you great options. System information, we're going to run through that in a second anyway. Internet artifacts speaks for itself. Entire disk. So again, we're talking about triage here. So you can have it plug play, plug in, click profile, run. Great. So my workforce can go out and add extra value to me instantly. I may not want to go out to a commercial residence and do all the machines in that business. So I can send someone out with a pre-scripted profile. Not a problem. Now, the entire disk with this triage in, we've got the option basically between user directory and entire disk. User directory is where humans most likely put data. So my desktop, my downloads, my documents, all these areas. So again, we're triaging in your own methodology as well and your own profiling. So obviously that's going to be a faster extraction. If I want to look across the entire logical disk and think the user may have data in other locations, then I can click that button. It's just going to cost me more time. Again, I can also ask it to do a full forensic physical image afterwards or at any time within that. So I'm going to click run just so we can see it. We can run in overt or covert. So as before, covert would just mean no screen presence. So for most of us, clearly we're going to be operating in an overt scenario where we want to see the data and we want to see earlier alerts as early as possible in our investigation. Again, the human being the weak link. If you know that you've got indecent images of children on this machine, and I can pull up hits very quickly and keywords that you've been looking at on the internet, while you're there, it's highly likely that you're going to answer my questions in a more positive manner. From my point of view, you're going to break much quicker, essentially, if I can put that data to you straight away. If I have to wait for it to go back to the lab, for it to be done, you've got your brief, you've had a bit of time to think up excuses, you're not caught on the hop or in what military guys would term shock of capture. Pretty handy like that. We can see here we've got a warning panel as well. So amber is obviously a warning. It's telling me it's found an encrypted disk. It'll also come up with keyword hits here. If that turns red, it means it's found a forensic hash match for one of our hash data sets. Again, that might be Project Vic, it might be Counter-Terror, it might be one that you've organically set up yourself. So we've got the memory, we've pulled that. Once that's, everything we're doing, by the way, is 256 encrypted onto the drive that I have attached that we're exporting this data out to. Okay, and then that is decrypted and imported into our Detego Analyze. But then you can export that out into any third-party tool as well. So you can export that RAM out if you need. But we do find most users, once they get into our powerful Analyze, tend to kind of like what goes on in there. We've got things like photo DNA, object detection, steganography, and so on. Back to field. So we've now done the system information. Let's have a look up here. We've still got that encrypted disk, clearly. It's not going anywhere. But I've now got 63 keyword matches, and you can see they're moving up. So just on my quick scan as a basic user, I can see I have one set of keywords called custom, one set of keywords called counter-terror and encryption. And I can see the different hits. So in running processes under custom, we've found that this suspect has CC cleaner. So I asked it to look for counter-forensic technology, encryption, and areas like this. So it's already building a picture for me within a very limited time of being on this machine. Install programs under my counter-terror watch list. It's got Veracrypt. So again, now I know that they're using encryption somewhere potentially, and also that they're looking to clean up devices, which doesn't make them guilty, but is angling us all towards the assumptions that we may have gone in with. Now, this is set up for counter-terror, so I'm looking down my counter-terror watch list here, and John Cantonilli, for example, was sadly a US hostage a little while back. So that might have been the person that I was looking for if I was a military guy, or whatever it happened to be. We can actually see here as well, it's found BitLocker keys, which is interesting. If I click on anything, it brings it up and it gives us the keyword that it found that we were interested in, but it also gives context left and right, just so that you can make a decision on what's important about that. We do have reports that are inbuilt as it's running. These also automatically go into your Analyze for a report at the end. But again, pretty handy. I can just go straight down to recent files. It's going to take me to what this individual has been up to. Clearly a Detego user. But we're in there, and I can move around here, and we can see straight away in the recent files, we've got terrorist leader. Hathaway was actually a missing child example that I was utilizing with some ICAC type investigators. John Cantonilli was some with our soft guys for showing how to identify potential hostage information quickly, and so on and so forth. Excuse me. So I can close out of that. It's already gone down to the passwords. So it's looked, it's found the most usernames on this system, which can be extremely valuable intelligence at this point, evidence once you start looking at it in your deeper dive piece. And of course, it's listing them in the most common users all the way through. We're in a live environment. I'm also able to pull all the passwords. So coffee, tea, sparkles, the cat, clearly cocaine for the counter narcotics examples. But again, pretty powerful and interesting for our investigations. Internet artifacts, it's going to run through all the different internet type apps that it finds on this computer. Not, these aren't all the ones, these are the ones that are on this computer. And obviously I've got a few on there, Google, Mozilla, Skype, etc., Opera. So you can see that we do have a a big breadth of capability. On my counter-terror watch list, for example, we've got beheading here. I can see that Skype, Loki 99991. And that individual's been Islamic State video showing beheading in red because it was the keyword I was looking for, but the context left and right, so I can put that into context. So again, I might have had bomb in there, but the gentleman is pleading that his partner was, I don't know, Googling how to make a chocolate bomb cake for their kid or something like that. I will get a better example of that. So moving down then, you can have this set up for anything you want. Here I've got encryption, so I can tell that there's VeriCrypt on here, TrueCrypt, plenty of VPNs. So adding that to the CC cleaner and other information we've got, it's starting to paint a pretty good picture, right? Magic mushrooms, LSD, acid, precursor chemicals, dark web, information, Project Vic keywords, and so on. Of course, this suspect machine here is riddled with badness because we use this for parts of our training scenarios with the different groups that we work with. I'm going to move down to user directory now. This is kind of important for us as well. So Detego, again, consistently across nearly all of the modules and technology you can get for our pieces, will try and help you as an investigator. It's showing me, it's a bit fast for the human eye, so I can press pause. It's showing me information while it's extracting. Now, this clearly is not all the information it's pulling. It's too fast for me. It's putting it all onto that stick. I can slow time, deep dive, or get all the automated analysis to be done in my analyze, actually. But right now, I'm on the suspect machine. We've been on here a couple of minutes. We've already got all that key information, but now I'm actually looking through the files and areas like that. It might be that something in here is of particular interest to me. Again, it will highlight that up so I can see it a bit more. Doesn't affect the access created modified times or anything like that. It keeps full forensic integrity for you, and so on. Of course, just because I've pressed pause here, it's only for the eye. You can see the data is still flying in. Will never cost an operator or an officer investigator time, because we don't know what time pressures you're under, and most of us are always under time pressure, right? So again, I can go down through the various different watch lists that I have for keywords. Again, the more specific you are on the keywords, the higher chance of success you're going to have. Down here, we can see it works in any language in the world as well. Again, if I find something of interest, I can ask it to show me that in our small viewer. Once it's done that, it moves on to encrypted files. So it's encrypting all these files, and while it's doing that, boom, it's checking for hashes. Very easy if I had a basic operator forward. It might be that I'm doing a big ICAC investigation. I'm saying, okay, for the 100 of you that are sent out, we don't have very long to train you. Plug this in, press that one button. If it goes red, pick up the phone, because it's got a forensic hash match to an indecent image of a child, or whatever it happens to be. It can be as basic as that, through to as advanced as you want. So down here, if I scroll down, we can see I've got 75 matches to the Project Vic. Clearly, we have no indecent images of children here. This is just test data that we've put in, cryptocurrencies, known CT, and op overlords. So you can have multiple hash sets running at once, including, interestingly, Detego makes it very easy for you to build your own hash data sets. So I've gone into a new location and I'm investigating Gang Blue, whatever it happens to be. I pull in the first main suspect. It's one of their lead guys or girls. I end up extracting 100 files that are significantly interesting. I don't know what they may be. Execution videos, threatening videos, PDFs on how to, I don't know, break into locations, narcotics, how to make precursor chemicals, whatever it is. We can just right click on all those and it starts creating a hash list that I can call Gang Blue. I can now export that list out to all my different teams and load it onto the thumbstick. So when they go forward, even if they weren't originally interested in that investigation, if it goes red, we know straight away that there's a match to that lead suspect that we brought in related to Gang Blue or whatever it was in the first place. So pretty cool. Detego also gives you the flexibility. I've got my workflow here, which can change in the advanced options. You can change it. Memory, system, passwords, so on, we're unencrypted. At any time, you can click next or abort, and you keep all the data. So in this case, I'm clicking next so that we can bring you on to, as I talked about before, the file carving. Now again, a processor heavy tasking. We're going through the unallocated space now, and you can see that we're starting to pull files of interest. There is more than this getting pulled. This is just what it's previewing to us while it's doing that to kind of help me get ahead of the game. So I can now look in this unallocated space and sort of see what may or may not, if our indication to that investigation was correct, that this, potentially, sadly, we might be coming up with indecent images of children here or whatever it happens to be. So I can let that run. Of course, I can switch to a full image if I want. I can also go into view. So this is quite handy as well, and a lot of our sort of senior investigators kind of like using this one. So I can come into my main view, and I can just go, take me straight to any matches for my keywords. So out of the hundreds of thousands of files potentially on this machine, it's now identified me down to the ones that are mainly linked to my keywords. Nope, recognize that individual. And that's pretty handy for me just to navigate through to see what may or may not be of interest. Again, depending on what your investigation was. I can also go straight to my hash matches if I choose. It may be that it's indecent images of children and you don't want to look in this, you don't necessarily need to. It's 100% going to be absolutely what you expect it to be. But within here, obviously, it's set up for border security and counter-terrorism and counter-narcotics. So I can see in here the hash matches that we've been getting. Another thing I can also do is it will start mapping out the drive for us that it's been extracting. So again, I can go in and say, hey, I want to look down to the downloads, Islamic video, where we found this, and now I can see all the other pieces that are in there as well, which is great. So again, it gives me much more flexibility. So as I alluded to earlier, you might use the technology in the easy plug and play aspect for some of your users, but other users want to go in and do a severe deep dive. So that's us on the carving. We've done all the other jobs. I'm just going to click next. I'm going to end my extraction there. It's going to wrap that up for me. And once it's done that, I'm good to go. I can eject my stick. If I am in a discrete manner, I can reset everything back to how I originally found it. Again, it depends if you're in the live environment or if you're in the boot environment. My full forensic management has taken place as well. And that is us good to go. So within 12 minutes that we were running there, we've had an extreme amount of information, got ahead of the game on our investigation. And of course, on that stick now, we have a plethora of more detail than I've been able to show you here. But in the next video, you will see that device getting plugged into your analytical Detego system in your lab or on your first responder platform, be that your Windows machine of whatever, and how it imports that data, and then how it helps you expedite your investigation on the data that's in there as well. So thanks very much, and we'll see you on the next video.